Hey, hey, let me turn off the banner. Banner, how do you turn it off? Hide. Yep, yep, hide. Drag them up. Yep, so today we're doing some, I do my regular journaling in the mornings, and I'm going to do some AI art check, take a look at some AI art, and I'll do study a bit of game programming as well. Yep, that's the agenda today, this morning. If you'd like to join along, study along with me, just uh, yeah. Okay, so oh, let's take a look at some art. Yep. So these are from the website Midjourney, and Midjourney is an AI art tool. You just type in some keywords, and it will generate art for you or generate some illustrations. The keyword I was looking for here was Studio Ghibli wallpaper, busy outdoor cafe at night. Yeah, that's the art that's being generated. That's my alarm. It's 8:30. I have an 8:30 alarm. Yeah, so I'll take a look at this artwork for a bit this morning. Nice artwork. Um, mm, I want to make some wallpapers. Hey, if you have some prompts or keywords you wanna try test out, I can also test it out for you if you want, so you can experience. Look at that. Oh, I like this one. I had this running a couple of days ago. So basically, you have to join their Discord server, and you type in some keywords. You give a command, type in some keywords, and it will generate art for you. It's very nice. I like this one. Ooh, versions. Ooh, I like this. Can go back to this later and then generate more art. I think this was just Studio Ghibli. Um, yeah, I think I'll make this one of this. Make this into my wallpaper right now. Download, save image. So save image, and I'll make it into my wallpaper. How do I make it into my wallpaper here on screen? Um, wallpaper, wallpaper, wallpaper design. Uh, design, theme. Upload new image. No, that's for the logo. Theme, exit theme. Um, video. Upload new background. Let's see if I can upload this background. Whoa. No, not that one. Background. How do I show the background? Wait a second. That's not it. How do I upload this background? Hey, what happened? How do I hide this? How do I select show more? Okay, I see it. Upload new background. Upload your background. It's not showing. Oh, there you go. Why is this? Apply. Why is this showing in my background? That's not what I selected. I'm trying to select this background. There, it's in my background. Hide screen. I'll hide myself in you so you see the background. Yeah, that was the background. Oh, you can see it behind me. Nice. So yeah, that's the background on my stream now, made by Midjourney. So if you want to try Midjourney yourself, you can I can generate some AI art for you if you want. Right, let's go. Um, Today, what's in my notes today? Today. So today, um, hmm, okay, I'm trying to start off my journal. I'm logging with GitHub. Okay, yep, I'm in GitHub today. So, what are my notes today? Today, I turned on my stream again, on my YouTube stream again, video streaming again. This is it, and I will study game development using Construct 3, a gaming platform. So I'll get my iPad and study there and try to code it here. So you can. So this is Construct 3. So it's a nice gaming platform. I discovered about Construct 3 from Vimlark. So Vimlark is a YouTuber. This is Vimlark from YouTube. Yes, and he uses Construct 3. Oh, he just posted a new video. Yeah, so he just posted a new video, and I saw him. He's been making a ton of games using Construct 3, which I thought was cool. Before I do the Construct 3 game program, I'll do my daily journaling first and take a look at some essays, articles before I jump there. I'll have my coffee first. Um, Let me just get my iPad so I will watch the video there. So this I can okay, I'm back. I'm back. I have my iPad and study the game. Because I have already the playlist. The playlist. The playlist for it. And I started making already. But before I do that, let's take a look at some notes first. I'll do some note making first. UX principles for AR. This is part of my journaling in the morning, reading and highlighting some notes. UX principles for AR.
UX principles for AR. Setting a course for better image generation tools. For the past year, I've been experimenting with several AI art image generating systems. Vkin plus Clip and Diffusion. Notebooks on Google Colab. Midjourney, a text-based image generation system built on top of Discord, and DALL-Middle.e, a web-based image creation tool from OpenAI. A user experience designer by trade, I'm interested not just in the resulting images, but also in how these new technologies shape the creative process. I've captured some guidance below in an effort to spark discussion of how we might set a course for better AI art interactions. First and foremost, this article is intended for those implementing image generation systems. I hope the principles below will lead to the development of even better, more human-friendly tools. For those artists new to image generation, you might also come away with some useful techniques to further develop your craft. It's incredible that a picture can be generated from a single text phrase, and while many are satisfied to stop there, other creators want more control over the images. Even in these early days, there are already multiple ways to shape the AI's results. Prompt engineering. While neither a separate feature nor an integrated part of the interfaces, there are many independent guides and image tests that aim to provide style names and other keywords that yield desired results. Midjourney also published some helpful prompting tips. Size and quality. When dealing with images, there are inevitable trade-offs between size, quality, and speed. Built on cloud-based systems, we're able to use hardware we wouldn't ordinarily have access to, enabling significantly faster image generation. Both Midjourney and DALL-Middle.e are incredibly fast. DALL-Middle.e somehow manages to generate 6 high-quality images in seconds. But given finite resources, and they are always finite, I actually prefer Midjourney's approach of generating initial thumbnails that can be optionally upscaled later. Aspect ratio. Limits of the technology meant that several of the early Vkin plus Clip and all of the Diffusion collabs restricted the aspect ratio to 1:1 square. Midjourney lets you specify custom aspect ratios, and DALL-Middle.e is stuck in squares. While I understand there are technical hurdles to overcome, very few images look best in a square format. Full flexibility is best, but at a minimum, options for portrait and landscape are extremely valuable for art creation. Initial images. Vkin plus Clip and Midjourney let you start your art creation from an image, uploaded or linked, respectively. While somewhat tedious, I generally found uploading to the collabs easier than the Midjourney approach, which requires a web link for the image. DALL-Middle.e allows you to upload an image for future generation of variants or editing. This is easy enough, but the image storage process is unclear. Variants. Midjourney and DALL-Middle.e both let you riff off of an image, injecting an unknown quantity of randomness that sets the image off in a certain direction. While it lacks precision, it does enable a kind of automatic iteration. The ease of the interact.
Yeah. So this is what I've been doing already in Midjourney for my AI art review. Yeah, I don't know. learning anything new here. This article. Yeah, it's a nice article, but the thing need to know about user experience design is now you're going into prompt design. What are the right prompts that would generate the kind of art that you're looking for? So basically, how you structure your language. So when I was working on when I'm showing the Midjourney video. Midjourney, where's my Midjourney? Once you go into the Midjourney, you have to use the right prompts to create the art that you're looking at. So here I was trying to do some dragon art that was tall, long. Yeah, that was a terrible idea. Then I need to do some other art styles here. And it's really the combination. What's that right combination of keywords can you make that will generate the art that you want to try? So, for instance, I got lucky with this art, which is almost like a cover art. It's pretty nice. Nicole Bolas is from Magic the Gathering, if you're not familiar. So, yeah. So I like the art generation process here. I was trying to do the lo-fi music girl. Okay. What else? What are the articles that am I looking at? Art. Let's look at articles. Explore. Dolly. It's the doll that Dolly is the it's a nice way to you can look at what else commerce in Airbnb articles what is the article by Nest Labs? Go back to the reading list. Availability bias. Ability to read is the middle availability bias. Availability bias is the tendency to make judgment based on previous experience that are easily recalled. Yes. That's why you should always question our biases. It's a cognitive bias. Formulated notion, memory limitation, and affect decision making. Elaborated, it's not possible for humans to consider every piece of relevant information. Instead, we focus on data within our minds that are easily available and seems to be the most pertinent. Okay, it's our limitation, right? Okay. Decision-making process in the shortcuts to the text. Availability heuristic. Availability heuristic. Oh, Daniel Kahneman. Daniel Kahneman is a famous author of Thinking Fast and Slow. Evaluating changes when students papers examining biases. Yeah. And the ability is an ecologically valid clue for the judgment of frequency because decision making. Even doctors misdiagnose patients as a result of availability bias. Even doctors make that mistake. Has an impact on self-evaluation. So only need it lists other acceptable that they already accepted, but those are the things that they're not accepted. They're self-evaluation. Interesting. Influence the way you can evaluate a course. If you are asked only to provide 2 pieces of negative feedback, you may conclude that the teaching you receive is poor because it's easy to think of just 2 negatives. However, if asked to list 10 pieces of negative feedback, the task is far harder, and you're therefore likely to conclude that the course must be good. Okay. Deliberate brainstorming instead of obvious solutions. Okay, this is nice. How to manage availability bias. Practice deliberate brainstorming. Try red teaming ideas. What is red teaming ideas? The devil's advocate. Instead of going for obvious, this is nice. Discover flaws and shortcomings. Use self-reflection methods. It's a form of journaling, which is what I'm doing right now. Or thinking deeply about this and what away from this kind. Like use self-reflection methods. Okay. Nice. Copy 11 highlights. Move it to my notes. Learned about concept of availability bias. Okay. Now, copy pasting something or copy pasting the highlights is not learning yet. You have to put this in my own words. So how do I translate this into my own words? Availability bias. Availability bias is our tendency to make judgments that can easily be recalled. I think there's also something called the recency bias. You are biased by the most recent experience. Availability bias. So how do you manage availability bias? Let me just fix this. Instead of going for the most obvious, which is like to be heavily based, conduct research to generate many potential solutions. This is what we do in design thinking. So the idea is look for many different solutions. Different solutions first before going for the obvious one. Okay. Red teaming ideas. Basically, play devil's advocate. Devil's advocate. Challenge ideas. Journal away from distractions and reflect on ideas. So this is what I learned today. What time is my reflections? Today's reflections. To look for any different solutions first before going the obvious one. Play devil's advocate to challenge ideas, and then journal away from distractions and stuff. Okay. So these are my lessons for today. This is what I learned today for in my journal. Now I'll go to my game development. Okay, so let's do some game dev work. Just fix my study game dev. So from Dreamlark has a tutorial on this is what I was following.
Series for Construct 3. We will be learning and using many aspects of Construct 3, as well as some new features like the tile movement behavior and the new built-in functions. One thing to note up front, I'm using a paid version of Construct 3, and this project will unfortunately go over the limit for the free version as well as use some features that are only available on the paid version. I apologize, but there are plenty of tutorials out there focusing on creating games with the free version limitations, but there are still plenty of tips and techniques that can be useful even if you can't follow along exactly. I just wanted that to be clear from the very beginning. My goal for this game that I have lovingly called Rock Smacker is that you will be able to take the end product and expand it to create a game of your own. So what are we making? Let's hop in and have a look. Starting here on the menu, we have three very simple options. We can play, make the game full screen, and mute the audio. As the latter two are pretty self-explanatory, let's hit the play button and jump on in. The main game mechanic for Rock Smacker is the tile movement behavior, which creates movement on a grid similar to old 8-bit RPGs. Now, we're not creating an RPG, but a puzzle game, but the movement is still very much applicable. As you can see, the player has the ability to move and attack. We will learn how to implement information signs that can display any message to the player when they stand in front of it. Attacking a bush will destroy it, allowing you and other objects to pass through. The main puzzle element of the game are these movable rocks. They have a white color, and if you attack them, smack them, they will move until they hit another obstacle. Move rocks are also able to fill holes in the ground, allowing you to pass through an area that was previously impassable. We will also be making a screen-scrolling camera similar to The Legend of Zelda. If the player incorrectly moves the rocks and is unable to finish the puzzle, it can be restarted simply by attacking the reset sign. The reset sign works like a checkpoint of sorts. It resets the level but keeps the player in their current location. When the player completes the level by attacking the chest, the screen fades to black and they are taken to the next level. This demo is available to play around with to get an idea of the project as well as all the assets used. Links are in the description. There's a lot.
Let's look at the game itself. Play the demo. I like the sound. Push this there, right? Push this here. Okay. Push this here. Right. I got it. So let's try doing that.
A lot that can be done with these base mechanics, and I've tried to set the project up in a way that makes designing puzzles very easy. Well, placing the objects is very easy. Designing the puzzles can still be difficult. So let's go ahead and take a look at the assets we're going to need. We will be using free art and sound packs available on itch.io. These creators have been kind enough to make their work available for others to use in games for free. Be sure to give them a follow and always credit. Again, links to these packs are in the description. The main pack we'll be using is Tiny Adventure Pack by Veriel. Apologies if I pronounced that incorrectly. This is a great pack, and a large reason for making this tutorial was that I wanted to use these assets in a project. Plus, if you want to continue and make a larger game, this creator has other asset packs in the same style for very cheap. Next up, we'll be using a couple of effects out of FX Pixel Art Pack 01 by Hugis Laborde. This pack has some really fun effects that will add a little extra touch to the game. I'm going to butcher this pronunciation as well, but the sprite font we will be using is Wayholmer, which is made by Just Frederick. For music, we will grab Minimalist Loops, created by Goose Ninja. And last, but certainly not least, we will be using the 8-bit sound pack by Dane Reed 1024, aka Sounds by Dane. And that is everything for this first episode. I'm not a fan of tutorials jumping into a project without showing you what they are making, so I hope you enjoyed this overview of the game and the assets we will need. Go ahead. So let's go ahead and start. First up, we're going to make a new project, and we are going to call this Rocksmacker Toot. We will make it a retro style project. We want it 320 by 180.
So I did start it already, didn't I? Project folder. Okay. Did I save it already? Okay, new project. Okay, let's try it out. So need to make a new project.
Going to call this Rocksmacker Toot. We will make it a retro style project.
New rock smasher. Retro style. Retro style. Okay.
We want it 320 by 180 and optimize for pixel art. Go ahead.
Optimize for pixel art. 220 by 180. Okay. All right.
You can click create. Excellent. So now we have our layer and we're going to kind of build this in steps. So first off, let's go ahead and just get some of the basics in. So we have our event sheet here. I'm going to go ahead and rename this to eGame. I prefer to put an E in front of my event sheets. It's just
Name to eGame. eGame.
my personal preference. You can name it however you like. And for the layout, let's go ahead and just call this game for now. But we'll obviously be making more levels later.
Game.
So that will be changing in a bit. So really this is just our testing layout for the moment. So first thing we're going to want to do is let's get a background in. This white is a bit too much. So we're going to go over to layer 1. Let's go ahead while we're here. Let's rename layer 0. Sorry, I said layer 1, layer 0 to background. And what we're going to do is we're going to double click, scroll on down to tile background. Let's just call this grass. Insert, click on the layer.
So, click. Click.
To double click, scroll on down to tile background.
Tile background. Tile background. Okay. Click. Okay.
Let's just call this grass.
Grass.
Insert. Click on the layer. And we are going to go up to this little folder icon here to load an image from.
How do I rename? Folder. Okay, I can't find the folder. Maybe I can just click and drag. Folder. Tile background. Wait, I downloaded it already. What is the folder name? Tiny Adventure Park. Others. Grass. Oh. Okay. I got this right. Okay, I got this right.
From File, we will open up our Rocksmith of grass type. So it's a little bit of texture to it, especially once we, let's go ahead and select anywhere on the layout. Make sure it is set to 1 for its pixel. See that the grass kind of has a little, select the color. Let's drag the darkness slider down.
Okay. So select color. Select color. Okay. Oh, 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 okay.
Just a little. Select the pencil tool. Make sure it is set to 1. Now if we zoom in, we can set on the grass. And we can go ahead and close that out. Now if we zoom in, we can see that the grass kind of has a little bit of texture too.
So let's do that. Close. Oh, there you go. That's a little bit of texture. Okay, I made the name wrong name. Wait, I have to change the name. Like an object tile background. Signs, icons, thesis, timelines, background scripts by scheme. Okay, never mind. Okay.
Do it, especially once we, let's go ahead and select anywhere on the layout. We are going to look over here at our layout information, down here where we have editor. We're going to go down to snap to grid and check that on. And grid size, what we want to do is actually make this 16, 16.
Date, snap the grid, 16, 16. 16, 16. 16. Okay.
Because we want our grid, all of our art assets are 16 by 16, at least our main art assets. So now that we have snap to grid, we can see that the box here will actually snap up to where we need it. So we'll snap it up to the top left, select it, and drag it out over the whole thing. We won't need the whole thing at the moment, but let's just fill that all in. Now the background, we don't really need to do much else to. So we can go ahead and lock this layer. Let's go ahead, right click, add layer, and let's call this the player layer. And now we're going to get our player box in. So this is going to be the item that actually moves around. So we will double.
So lock that layer. Lock. And then add a layer at top. And then this is the player layer. Player layer. Okay.
Double click, scroll on down to sprite. We will add a new sprite. Let's call this player underscore box. Click.
Double click. Player. Here.
New sprite. Let's call this player underscore.
Sprite. Name it player underscore. square box.
For box, click. We will resize this. We want to set this to 16 by 16. Click OK.
Box. Insert. Resize to 16 by 16.
We will resize this. We want to set this to 16
by 16. Resize to 16 by 16. Okay.
by 16. Click OK. So now we have a 16 by 16 box here. We're going to pick a color to use for our player box. This won't.
Let's choose a color for the player box. Okay. Choose a color for the player box.
Be seen after we get past putting in animations, so it's not important what color you put in. Feel free to put in whatever you like. I tend to use orange. That's just a personal preference. And then we're going to go ahead and go down and check our bounding box. That is set to the whole perimeter.
Bounding box. So, fill it up. Okay, and then check the bounding box. Yeah, bounding box. Okay.
Perimeter, that is fine. We will go over to the origin point, and we actually want this to be in the top left. So you can right click.
Origin point, top left. Origin point, right click. Top left. So it moves there. Okay.
And choose top left. Or if you have a keyboard with a number pad on it, the number pad all represent the different corners. So if I hit 1, I'm in the bottom left. If I hit 3, I'm in the bottom right. 8 will take me to the top middle. It looks just the same way as your number pad. So there's a fun little nice shortcut to actually setting up your origin points. So I can hit 7 on the keyboard. That puts me in the top left, and that's exactly where I want to be. So we can go ahead and close this now. Now we have our player box on the background, but if we run this, nothing's actually going to happen at the moment. So what we want to do is select our player box, come over to instance variables.
Okay, close. Instance variables. Okay, instance variables.
And we're going to add a few instance variables. So we're going to do up, and this will be a Boolean. We are going to add right, which will be a Boolean. We will add down.
So you're adding variables to up, Boolean, right, Boolean. I assume there's down and left. Oops. Down and left. Okay.
It's also a Boolean. And we will add left, which of course is also a Boolean. And you know what, while we're here, we're going to need one more eventually, so we might as well add it in. Let's do attack, ATK.
ATK.
That will also be a Boolean. And then we can go ahead, go to behaviors, add new, scroll all.
Behaviors. behaviors, add new.
All the way down to the bottom, and at the bottom left here, we will select tile movement. Go ahead and click add. So we're going to need to make a couple of changes to the behavior of tile movement.
Tile movement. Tile movement, okay. Add. Okay.
Movement. Right now it's moving in a grid of 32 by 32, which means if we actually play this and move, it's going to move twice as far as we want it. So we will change these to 16 by 16, and we're going to change the speed to 50 by 50.
16 by 16 and 50 by 50. Okay, 16 by 16. Okay, so it's there, 16 by 16, 50 by 50. Okay.
We can go ahead and click save if you haven't saved it before. There we go. And now since we have default controls enabled, that
Save. Did I save it? It asked me for a name. Already saved. Okay.
defaults the movement to the arrow keys. We can actually go ahead and hit play. And if we use the arrow keys, we can see our box moving around. If
Can I try that? Play. Moving around. But do you see this? You don't see it on your screen because it opened up another window. But I do see a screen. Let me just share it quickly. Share the screen quickly. So that's how it looks like, and I can move it around. Let's see, moving it around. Left, right, up, down. Is it supposed to move like that? Left, right, up, down. Okay. Is it supposed to?
I just tap it once, we can see that it moves the full 16
Okay,
pixels
okay.
over into the next frame,
Okay.
or
16,
into the next
16.
part of the grid.
Okay.
Excellent. Okay, so now that we have our player box in,
I was confused. I thought it would move tile movement. I mean, it would move 60. It's really moving incrementally. Anyway.
and moving, let's go ahead and get the animations in, because nobody likes to look at a box moving around a screen. So I like to put all of my assets that don't start on the screen onto an objects layout. So what we're going to do is go over to layouts over here in the project panel, right click, add layout only, and we're going to call this objects.
Add layout only. Layouts, add layout only, objects. Okay. Okay.
I don't like to have a white background on here. It just makes things a little harder to see, especially when I have white outlines on things, or eventually we will actually have images that are completely white. So I go ahead and just add a gray to it to make
Gray. Wait, mine's already gray.
it a little bit easier to see.
But if I change the background to lighter gray, How do I change the background to lighter gray? How did you do it?
Background on here, it just makes things a little harder to see.
So I clicked on layout. And then how did I click?
We're going to call this objects. I don't like to have a white background on here. It just makes things a little.
Background colors, one of the transparent background color. Okay. So let's make it a little lighter. There you go. Okay, got it. Next.
A little harder to see, especially when I have white outlines on things, or eventually we will actually have images that are completely white. So I go ahead and just add a gray to it to make it a little bit easier to see the elements we'll put on. Let's go ahead and zoom in. And we are going to add in our player animations. Now this is going to take a little bit of time. It feels a bit of busy work, but unfortunately, because we're doing a top-down game, we have to put in the player in all 4 directions in all of its animations. It's just unfortunately the nature of the beast. So we will select sprite. We will go down and we will call this player art. We will click.
So he added sprite. Here, art. Insert. Click. Okay.
And now I'm going to show you what we're going to do, and we're going to do this a fair amount of times. So first up, we will go down to this animation frame, right-click, import frames from strip.
Import frames from strip. Add frame. No, I made a boo-boo. Delete. What do I do?
First up, we will go down to this animation frame, right-click, import frames.
Import frames. Right-click. Import frames. From strip. He said from strip, right? Okay, looks like my pop-ups are blocking. Wait, let me just character. Import from sprite strip. Okay, and then it will ask
from strip. In the Tiny Adventure Pack, let's go ahead and go back. We go to character. You can choose character 1 or 2. They have the same animations. I'm just going with character 1 because it's the first one up. Idle. Character idle down. Double click. Import. Always check this number of horizontal cells versus vertical cells. That's basically asking how many images are in this animation. This animation has 6 frames, so we will go ahead and make this 6, and there's only 1 vertical. Direction is horizontal, and we will replace, make sure this is checked to replace the entire animation. So that
replace entire animation. Replace entire animation. Wait, let me do that again. I think I got the wrong sprite. Idle down. import from strip, import. Okay, zoom in. There you go.
Replaces anything you have in there currently. That'll make this a little easier moving forward. So hit import. That puts in the whole thing. So if we zoom in, we can see our player right here, kind of moving up and down. Excellent.
It's moving up and down. Yep. Okay.
Excellent. Let's go ahead and rename this. So select the animation. We are going to name this to idle underscore down. I use all caps for
Idle underscore down. Rename. Idle underscore down.
for my animations. If you don't want to type it like that, you just will have to remember later how you typed it, because we will be referencing this exactly, and capitalization does matter. So
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to just follow along, go ahead and make that all capital. We're going to come down to speed, change this to 10, and set looping to true. So now if we right click,
10. Speed looping to true. Speed
click and take a look.
10. Okay.
We can see our characters bouncing up and down. Go ahead and make that all capital. We're going to come down to speed, change this to 10, and set looping to true. So now if we right click and take a look, we can see our character.
So if I right click and take a look, preview, it's animating. Yay! That's cool. Okay.
Character's bouncing up and down. That's his idle standing animation while he's facing down. Next up, we need to do the other three directions. So the easiest way to do that, since we already have the speed and looping set, we can go ahead and select the animation, right click, duplicate. It changes the name to just animation 1, but everything else stays the same. So we can go ahead and change this name to idle underscore right. Right click down here in the animation frames, import from strip, select idle right, open. Number of cells is 6, 1, which is all correct, and replace entire animation. This is why we need to leave this checked, because we have this animation here from facing down. If we click import now, it replaces all of it.
Okay, I got it. Duplicate. Rename. Right. Then I need to replace this entire thing with right. Okay, let's play. Okay, got it. Duplicate again. Rename. Idle up. Again. Import from strip. So test preview. And then one more. Rename. Duplicate. Idle left. Rename. Left. Okay. Paste left. Import from. Okay. Play. Okay, nice. It's good. I did that.
And we're good to go. See here, I made the mistake. Just click from strip and select the correct option for our idle. Right click, import from strip, idle up. And there are 6 frames, import, and we are good to go. Now our running animation will be the same setting, so it'll be the speed of 10 and looping animation. So we can go ahead and continue this duplicating trend. We will right click, duplicate, animation. Let's go ahead and make this run underscore down.
Oh,
I believe in the actual file.
I need to run.
Files here. Let's go from strip. We'll go back to character 1. They call it walking. You can call it walk, run, whatever. Again, just later on, you'll need to reference it the same.
Okay, so let me do that. I use walk. So duplicate, rename, walk down. So walk down. Import from sprite. Import. Replay. Oh. I think I made a mistake. It's not. It's 5 frames. It's 6 frames. 6 frames. Why is this showing only 5 frames? 6 frames. That was funny. Import from strip. 6 frames. Yeah, 6 frames. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so walk down, rename. So I have walking down, I'll duplicate, walking up, walk up. Six frames, right? 6 frames, import. Preview. Nice. Duplicate. Rename, walk left. Left. And then duplicate, rename. Oops, duplicate. Rename. Walk right. Let's walk right. Import from sprite strip. Import. And then display. Preview. Okay. I got it. Got it. Okay.
So we will do run the attack animations as well. So these animations as well. So these ones don't follow the exact same settings. So we can go ahead and right click, add animation. Now we get a brand new animation. Let's call this ATK underscore down,
Oh no.
and we will right click.
ATK down. ATK down. So I have to do attack animations. So new ATK, rename ATK down. ATK down. Right. So what does ATK down do?
Import files from strip, move back into character 1, attack, and attack down. Again, these are all, there are 6 frames. Excellent, that one pulls it in correctly. And we attack. Excellent, so duplicate. ATK underscore.
Let me just ATK. So attack down. Attack down. Attack down. Strip 6 import. Let's speed is only 5. You didn't change the speed, right? Or is it still 10?
And attack down. Again, these are all, there are 6 frames. Click add animation. Now we get a brand new animation. Let's call this ATK underscore down. And we will right click, import files from strip, move back into character 1, attack, and attack down. Again, these are all, there are 6 frames. Excellent, that one pulls it in correctly. And we attack. Excellent, so duplicate.
Okay.
ATK.
So I'll duplicate the same thing. Duplicate, up, attack up, rename, up, paste. Import from sprites. Oops. Oops. It's only 6. Or from only 6. Where's the 7? So preview. Okay. Okay. So next is duplicate again, rename. How many characters? How many sprites that left? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Still 6. 6. Import. Preview. Okay. The last one. Duplicate. Rename. Okay. Right. So 6 frames. Okay. Three. Okay.
Okay, underscore right, import from strip. Okay, and now we have all of our images in. So now we don't need to worry about the actual bounding box for any of these, which is fine. We can leave it the size it is. We won't be reading this bounding box for anything. This is just for player animation. What we do need to concern ourselves with is the origin point. The origin point we don't want in the center. If we close out of here, we can see, let me copy this over and throw it on the game real fast with our player. We can see it doesn't line up. So if it tries to sit in the same origin point as the player box, it's up here in the top left. So what we want to do is double click. We are going to change the origin point here to the top left. I will hit 7 on my keyboard, or right click, quick assign top left.
Top left, top left. Okay. Hmm. Oh yeah, the origin points. Okay, can I highlight multiple? No, to do it one at a time. Top left, top left, top left, top left. Right, is that top left, top left. Did I quick assign everything? Okay, quick assign top left. Okay, quick assign top left.
And now that's only applied to the first frame of animation. So what we're going to do is make sure you're on the frame with it in the top left, right click, apply to all animations.
Oof.
That means that all of these animations now have the origin point in the top left.
I need to do to all animations. Okay. So yeah, so I need to apply to all animations. Okay. Okay, apply to all. Apply to whole animation. Is it whole animation or?
And that is fine for all of applied to the first frame of animation. So what we're going to do is make sure you're on the frame with it in the top left, right click, apply to all animations. That
apply to all animations. Apply to all animations. Okay. Apply to all animations. Apply to all animations. Okay, that's good. This is really good. But, sabi niya, but.
That means that all of these animations now have the origin point in the top left. And that is fine for all of them except for attacking. Now, attacking is a little bit different because these boxes are much different sizes because of the sword swing. The sword takes up a lot more room. So as you see, this box here, if we look at its size, is 23 by 23 for the entire bounding box of the image. If we look at the idle down, that is a 16 by 16. So the one thing we need to do is just make sure that our image point here stays in the correct place on all of the attacking. And now all we're going to do is make sure that it is 5 pixels away from this top of the head here. So if we look at frame for attacking down, this is actually correct. And then the player attacks down. So that gives a little sweep where the player will move forward in his attack and then they will snap back into an idle like that. So we're okay with it moving, not being on the same y-axis, but we want it on the same x, always 5 away. So for attacking down, we are actually good where we are. Attacking right is incorrect though. We want that.
Attacking down is okay. Attacking right is incorrect. Right.
That to be 5 pixels away from this top of the head here. As it stands at the moment, for frame 0, we are 2 pixels away. So we're going to go ahead and while we have the origin point selected, just hit left on the keyboard 3 times. We are now at x -3, y 0. We will go ahead, right click, and apply to whole animation, not all animation. If you do it to all animation, that's going to set this to every single other animation. Whole animation will just be the attack right animation. So we'll apply to whole animation. And now if we check, our origin point is in the same position each time, which is
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So how do I do that? Attack right. Origin point. 5. Okay. Then apply to whole animation. Okay. Okay. Why is it? It might be a bit wrong for me because the bounding box is different. Okay. Okay.
pretty much what we want here. So we'll go down to attack left and do the same thing, except now we want this to be 5 pixels away from this top. So we'll select the origin point and set it there, which is x8, and we're going to move it to the left 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We will go ahead, right click, apply to whole animation, and last up we go to attack up. As we can see,
Left. Left is also
set it there, which is x8, and we're going to move it to the left 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We will go ahead.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 5. Then apply to whole animation. Right. Okay.
Right click, apply to whole animation, and last up we go to attack up. As we can see, the origin point is way off on this one. So we will go to the top left here, or the top of the head, and we will hit left 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right click, apply to whole animation. And now if we actually play these, we should see top left here, or the top of the head, and we will hit left 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right click, apply to whole animation.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, it's 8.
And now if we actually, origin point is way off on this one. Same thing, except now we want this to be full animation. And last up we go to attack up. As we can see, the origin point is way off on this one. So we will go to the top left here, or the top of the head, and we will
need to click it on the top of the head first. So here. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's the whole animation. Apply to whole animation. And then I should do the same thing.
Attacks down. So that gives a little sweep where the player will move forward in his attack and then they will snap back into an idle like that. So we are okay with it moving, not being on the same y-axis, but we want it on the same x, always 5 away. So for attacking down, we are actually good where we are. Attacking right is incorrect though. We want that to be 5 pixels away from this top of the head here. As it stands at the moment for frame 0, we are 2 pixels away. So we're going to go ahead and while we have the origin point selected, just hit left on the keyboard 3 times. We are now at x -3.
So yeah, I think that's correct. This is, I think it's correct. This is wrong. So I think this is wrong, no? Tap left.
Y0. We will go ahead stop. So we'll select the origin point and set it there, which is x8, and we're going to move it to the left 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So I have to select here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it whole animation. Okay.
We will go ahead, right click, apply to whole animation, and last up we go to attack up. As we can see, the origin point is way off.
I think I got it.
Off on this one. So we will go to the top left here, or the top of the head, and we will hit left 5 times. The attacks. The attack should actually be 20 for the speed. So not looping. Go ahead and select each one and set
20. I knew it. Okay. Okay. 20. Okay. Hmm. 20. Review. Hmm. 20. Review. Okay. Right.
set them to 20. And I think we are pretty much good with the player art for the moment. So we can go ahead and close this down. We don't need it on the actual game layer, so we'll delete this. Go over to your objects layout, select the player art.
Objects layer. Play closed. I mean objects layer. Zoom in. Okay.
We're going to give a couple instance variables. Our first instance variable will be anim, and that will be for animation. We will call that a string and click OK.
Anim stream. Instance variable. Instance variable. Anim. So variable string will be. Okay.
Add one more, and this will be dir for direction. This will also be a string. We can close that.
Add another variable. Direction. Also string. Okay.
One last behavior to add new behavior, and we're going to add the pin behavior because we're going to be sticking this to our player box once we spawn it in.
Behavior pin. Variable and then behavior is pin. Pin. Okay. 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 Did I say where to pin it?
Okay, that is going to do it for this video. One last behavior to add new behavior, and we're going to add the pin behavior because we're going to be sticking this to our player box once we spawn it in. Okay, that is going to do it for this video. If you're enjoying what you're seeing so far, please consider subscribing, and I will see you next time for more rocks.
Mm-hmm.
So now in the game, we have a player box that will move around. Okay, so it's time to do some inputs. So we will right click, add a new group, and this group will be called player inputs.
Wait, what's happening?
So now in the game, we have a player box that will move around. Okay, so it's time to do some inputs. So we will right click, add a new group, and
E-game. Okay, this is an E-game.
this group will be called player inputs. Select the group, hit B for a new.
What's happening?
So now in the game, we have a player box that will move around. Okay, so it's time to do some inputs. So we will right click, add a new group, and this group will be called player inputs.
Player inputs. Go to E-game. Add group. Player inputs. Here. Inputs. Okay. Inputs.
Select the group, hit B for a new blank sub-event inside.
Okay. Select B. Oh. Select B.
Of the group, double click. We will go to, oh, you know what we haven't done yet? We have not.
Select B.
Not added the keyboard component. So go back to game, double click anywhere, and we will add in keyboard. Insert.
Game keyboard component. Yeah, game.
Good. Now we have access to the key. So go back to game, double click anywhere, and we will add in keyboard. Insert.
Game keyboard insert. Double click. Keyboard component. Keyboard. So there's a keyboard. Okay. So there's a keyboard component. All right. So E-game. What did he do? He pressed B.
So go back to game, double click anywhere. Inside of the group, double click.
Double click. Okay, so double click.
We will go to, oh, you know what we haven't done yet? We add in keyboard. Good. Now we have access to the keyboard inputs. So double click again back on game, keyboard, and we are going to check to see if a key is down. So the key we'll be checking first is W. And if W is down, we want to set on the player box. So we will go to Add Action, Player Box, scroll on down to Set Boolean, double click, and we will set the Boolean for up to true. So now we're saying if W is down on the keyboard, the player setting up will be true. But and set this to false. So this means double click here, hold down Control, and drag it down, and that will copy it. Now we can double click. We want to have, if we're not pressing W, to have that be false. So we will select this whole condition here, hit X for an else statement, go ahead and select the player box.
Okay, if code is down, key is down, key is down, is down, right?
We'll select this whole condition here, hit X for an else statement, be false. So we will
W. Okay, done. Add action. What's action?
select this whole condition here.
Player box.
We won't approve. So now we're saying if scroll on down to Set Boolean, double click, go to Add Action. So we will go to Add Action, Player Box, scroll on down to Set Boolean, double click, and we will set the Boolean for up to true.
Set Boolean up to true. Okay. Player box. Set Boolean. Set Boolean. Down is true. Done. Down to true. Okay.
So now we're saying if W is down on the keyboard, the player setting up will be true. But we want to have, if we're not pressing.
Setting up is true because it's W. Shucks. Set up. Up is true. Okay. And what I did next.
W to have that be false. So we will select this whole condition here, hit X for an else statement.
X for else statement. X. Okay, X. Control, and then what did he do?
Go ahead and select the player box for our action here. Hold down Control and drag it down, and that will copy it.
Control and drag
now we
it
can
down. Control. Drag it down. Oops. Can't I just copy? Control, maybe it's command for me. I'm using a Mac.
double click and set this to false. We'll copy it. Now we can here, hold down Control and drag it down. And
It didn't work for me. Control, not command. Maybe it's command. Drag down. No. Shift Control. Let me just copy. What was the command?
For our action here, hold down Control and drag it down, and that will copy it. And drag it down, and that here, hold down Control and select the player box for our action here, hold down Control and
I'm selecting the player box, pressing Control, scroll, putting it down here. It's not working. I don't get it. Maybe I should just copy. Copy. Someone's calling. Just pause a bit. I'm still online. Let me just answer this call. Hey, I'm back. So I'm learning how to code. If you're watching my stream, learning to code the game. So I don't get it. I'll just do the same thing. Set Boolean up to false. Done.
drag it down, and that will copy it. Now we can double click and set this to false. So this means that if W is down, it sets up to true. If it's not down, it will set it to false. Now, we want to do this for both W and for the up arrow. So what we'll do is, there are two ways to select your conditions here. If you select on the very outside, you see how it highlights the entirety of this whole block right here. If you select just over here where it says keyboard, that is selecting just this condition on its own. So we're going to select just this condition, hit Command C, Command V. So now we have two instances. We will double click on the second and just change the key input to up.
Command C, Command V. C, Command V. This time it's the keyboard is up. Okay.
On the arrow keys, but we still have a problem. Now it's saying if W and up are true, then it'll set up to true. We don't want that. We want either or. So what we'll do is just make sure you have this condition selected anywhere and hit Y on your keyboard, which will turn it into an or block. So now that we have it saying if either of those are
or Y. Y. Oh, need to disable this. Maybe Vimium is affecting it. Why? Not what? Why? Or why is that? Why? Why is not? Why is it not showing?
Or block. So now that we have it saying selected anywhere and hit Y on your keyboard, which will turn it in.
Why? Okay, I have to select outside. Okay.
To an OR block. So now that we have it saying if either of those are pressed down, we will set that to true. So we want that to happen for all 4 directions. So what we're going to do is copy both of these sections, Command C.
Command C. Okay, how did he do it?
So we want that to happen for all 4 directions. So what we're going to do is copy both of these sections, Command C, Command V, and
Command C, Command V. Okay, see. Let's try doing that. Command C, Command V. Did I do that right? Or it should include the else. It should include the else. So I should outside here. Command C, Command V. Okay. So now.
And we're going to change a couple of things. So we will double click here, change this to D. Double click here, change this to right arrow. And we will just change these to right and
okay,
right.
So do all the things. So change this to D. Okay, done. Change this to right. Okay, done. Set right. Done. True. Set right. Done. If I do the same thing again, Command C, Command V. So S. S. Okay. Done. Then down arrow. Okay. Done, and it will set down. Done. And then this is down. Done. And then the last one is A, right? If A is there, A. Done. So left. Or okay, done. Left. Okay. Okay. Right.
Great. Do it 2 more times. Double click. Change that to A. So let me zoom this in, so hopefully this is a little easier to see. My apologies. What we want to check now is we will go ahead and add a new event, select a player box, scroll all the way down to is Boolean instant set, double click, and check attack. So we want to see if the player is not attacking. So we need to inverse this.
I need to. This is taking so much time. um,
So we have player box is attacking currently. The option up higher section here, we can actually collapse it to make this. Select each one of the falses, setting a couple of. We're going to be checking the booleans we set. So if the player is not moving and we want to see if it's not attacking, hit C on your keyboard.
wow, there's
This
so
is
much
the
programming.
boolean instance variable. Simulate control. Come on down, check one of the other directions. So let's go ahead and hit X for an else. So if right is not true, if right is true, do left, true, it'll check for the next direction. Input as well as our player input. If we hit play right now, we can go ahead and see our boxes there. If I use the arrow keys, I can move around. If I use WASD, I can also move around. And that's exactly how we want that to work. But we have no player animation right now.
Let me just try the movement first. So let's save it now. Movement. Moving ASDF. It's not working yet. Because I used inputs first. I did not use player movement yet. Okay, I'll do the player movement later. For now, I want to see.
Set up to have us move around. The last thing we need to do right now is if we open the game, this will move. Let's go ahead and select, if I use WASD, everything all together. And we will spawn another object. So go ahead and start typing spawn or add an event, system, and we'll do on start of layout. On start of layout, we will add an action. That's exactly how we want that to work. But we have no player animation right now. So let's add our player animation to the actual layout. Again, I like to keep them on the object layout together. So all we have to do here is actually say, or add an event, system, and we'll do on start of layout. On start of layout, we will add an action, player box, and we will spawn another object. So go ahead and start typing spawn, and it should pop up right here, spawn another object. So this means on the start of layout, the player box will spawn our player art. Let's go ahead and make sure it spawns it on the player layer. If you just do an open quote here, you can see all
Let me just do
A
this
level.
first.
I don't want to have to move system, and we'll do on start of whatever. Again, I like to keep them on the object layout, mostly because if I'm setting up a level, I don't want to have to move this and the player art and put everything all together. So all we have to do here is actually say, or add an event, system, and we'll do on start of.
Add event system. Let me just follow this. Add an event system.
Layout. On start of layout.
On start of layout. On start of layout. So on start of layout. On start of layout. Okay. Next. On start of layout. Action.
We will add an action, player box,
Player box.
and we will spawn another object. So
player box, spawn another object. Add action, player box, spawn another object. Object is player art, right?
So go ahead and start typing spawn, and it should pop up right here, spawn another object. So this means on the start of layout, the player box will spawn our player art. Let's go ahead and make sure it spawns it on the player layer. If you just do an open quote,
spawn it on the player layer. Layer. Player art. Oh, I need a quote. Here. And then
here, you can see all the layers you have and go ahead and select the one you want. We will have it spawn at image point 0, which is the top left. Done. And then we want to make sure that we pin the actual art to our player box. So we will go to player art, double click, scroll down to pin, pin to object, pin to player box.
Done.
Box, position only, and click OK.
Player art push pin to player box. Player art should pin to player box. Player art pin object. Player box. Player box.
So we will go to player art, double click, scroll down to pin, pin to object, pin to player box, position only, and click OK.
Pin to player box. Ooh. It doesn't have position only. Okay.
Okay. So now if we actually look at our game, it spawns in with our player.
Let's see. I save. I play it. Show you how. Share screen. So this is how it's looking like. I have not attached the animation, walking animation yet. But so if I do the movements, whoop, whoop, make it bigger. It's moving, but still it's using the idle animation yet. So I need to attach the idle animation. It doesn't have position only. In this old tutorial, it says position only. But in the
Add an action, player box, and we will spawn another object. So go ahead and start typing spawn, and it should pop up right here. Spawn another object. So this means on the start of layout, the player box, the one you want, and then we want to make sure that we pin the actual art. Scroll down to pin, pin to object, pin to player box, position only. It spawns in with our player, and we can move around. But we don't have the player's animation actually happening. We're setting the instance variables that tell it how to work. We're not telling it to actually set up, though. So what we're going to do is close this, go back to game, and add an event, system, and this time we will do every tick. So this will actually fire off every frame that the game is running. Every tick, we will add an action.
I haven't attached the
go to player box.
player
the
movement
inputs
yet.
And setting a couple of booleans.
So I finished
Select
the
it, hit B for
player inputs.
So we can collapse player inputs. Right click.
I need to do the. So I have the player inputs there. I need to add the group. Add the group. Player movement. Player movement. Right, I'll move this up here. So I collapse that. Okay, player movement. So I need to add some of the variables now to instances and variables to player movement. This is how game programming is. So I'm going through a tutorial right now. Go for another 30 minutes the tutorial and see where this will take me. No, it's getting, I want some music. Spotify. Play my lo-fi beats.
Add a new group, and this new group we will call player movement. Select it, hit B for a new blank sub-event, and we're going to need to do a couple of checks here. So first thing we're going to do, double click, go to player box, and we want to scroll all the way down here to the tile movement section, and we are going to check to see if the player is moving. And
B. B. Okay. Player movement. Player box. Player box.
all the way down here to the tile movement section, and we are going to check to see if the player is moving.
Is moving. Tile movement is moving. Okay.
And again, we want to do this on the inverse. So if the player is not moving, and we want to see if it's not attacking, hit C on your keyboard. This is the shortcut to add a new condition. You can also right-click and add another condition. Go to player box, scroll down to Boolean set, and we're going to do the same thing we did last time with attack. So if attack is true, we don't want that way. We want to have it inverse. So we want to see if attack is false. So we will hit I. If neither of these are true, we can have other actions happen. Hit B for a new blank sub-event. And now we're going to be checking the Booleans we set up here. So double click, player box. Is Boolean instance variable set? Double click. And let's go ahead and just start with right. Why not? So if right is true, we want to have the player move. Add action, player box, simulate control, right. So that's all we have to do to actually make the player move right. As long as right is true and it's not attacking and not moving, then it'll move to the right. While we're here, we might as well make this a little bit easier for ourselves later. We will add one more action, player art. Come on down to set value. We will set the value of dir to right. Make sure you put the quotes on there, they are needed. And also make sure that it is spelled the same as you have it in the actual art here. So this is where we're referencing the direction that comes after the animation type. So now if right is not true, we want to check one of the other directions. So let's go ahead and hit X for an else. So if right is not true, if right is true, it does this. Else, we want to check for left. So again, we can select, there are two ways to select. Select just the condition, hold down Control, drag it down, and we will double click and change this to left. So if left is true, we want to do the same thing, but with going left. So pretty much a lot of copy and pasting here for the different directions. So we can grab both of these conditions, hold down Control, drag them down, and we will change, hit B for a new blank section here. We can actually collapse it to make this easier to see. So it's now nested itself underneath the player box. Let's drag this up to the top here. Select all of these, and we will go player box is not attacking. And to do this, I hit I on the keyboard. So if you hit I, that will inverse the option of the Boolean. So if the player is not attacking, let's drag this up to the top here. Select all of these and drag them in. You see how there's this little black line here that shows you where they're going to go. If you move over a little bit, you can see how it's now nested itself underneath the player box is attacking, and we want that to happen. So now, none of this will happen if attacking is set to true, but we want to have, if the player is attacking, we want to set all of these to false. So what we'll do is select the entire section here. We can actually collapse it to make this easier to see. Select, if player box is not attacking, Then we will hit X on the keyboard for an else. So if they are attacking, now we want to make all of those other conditions false. So we'll go ahead and drop this down, and we can just go select up false, hold control, and select each one of the falses, hold control down again, and drag all that down. So now if we do attack, everything will be set to false and the player won't move during the attack, which is what we want. Okay, so we got all that going, but the player still isn't going to move with any of this. This is just reading the inputs and setting a couple of Booleans. So we can collapse player inputs, right click, add a new group, and this new group we will call player.
Yeah. Tile movement is tile movement. It's tile movement, right? Tile movement is. So I have to.
What I'm going to do is go add action, player art, set value of anim, and we will set it to run. We can go ahead and see our boxes there. If I use the arrow keys, I can move around. Up our player art, let's go ahead and art to our player box. So we will go to player art, double click. It spawns in with our player, and we can move around. What we're going to do is close off every frame, which will be 2. We can go ahead and delete those quotes. We will set it to self dot anim, which will be idle run attack space ampersand, and the ampersand is bringing multiple strings together here. So we have the instance variable, which would be idle run, and then we need to have an underscore because of the way we labeled our animation. So you do a quote, underscore, quote. Don't put any spaces inside of the quote. This will stitch everything together. Space there, we can do ampersand again, and we will do self dot dir. And this will give us the direction. So now if we go ahead and save, go to game and hit play, we can see our player is there. If we walk to the right, we can see we're walking to the right. If we go to the left, we're going to the left, up, and down. So that's exactly how we wanted that to work. So now our animations are all linked up. We have nothing firing off attacks yet.
Okay. Yeah, it looks like I'll spend more time here. Study it a bit more, work on it. Unfortunately, it's almost. I need to prepare for lunch. Need to prepare some, and I need to feed the cats now because they're meowing outside. Thanks for joining. If you're seeing this stream, I will continue this game development probably next week. I can only do this on weekends because I have work on regular days. But yeah, so what did we do today? We did our journaling. We studied a bit, and then we did a bit of game programming. Thanks for joining me for game programming today. Yeah, so that's what we're doing. Continue doing this, and yeah, I'll end the stream in a bit. Thanks for having fun with me while I'm coding. See you next week. Let's do probably Saturday morning, weekend, and the Sunday morning again studying. Spend more time here. For now, I will say goodbye. See you. See you guys next time. Bye.